1,400 years ago, Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, was sexually assaulted by a group of men known as Al-Zutt.
This is really a horrible thing.
At the time, there was no legal protection, and Muhammad had to suffer alone in silence.
And I don't think a lot of us really understand how bad.
But what if he was alive today? Would things be different? Last year, a 16-year-old girl was raped by a stranger on her way home from work. This week, the Swedish court gave the perpetrator, an asylum-seeking guest in the country, the minimum sentence and declined to deport him due to the short duration of the encounter.
Little weakling.
Let's compare these two assaults and see what it would mean for our poor prophet. The sexual oddities of Muhammad are well known.
Yes, indeed. So that's what everyone knows.
He had at least 9 and perhaps 11 wives at the same time while allowing his followers only 4. Despite this harem, he was caught having sex with his slave girl in his wife's bed and swore an oath to never do it again. Until his God made him break the oath because Muhammad's sexuality was just too important to be suppressed.
Oh.
Or at least that's how the story goes. Other narrations indicate Muhammad hallucinated having sex due to a curse put upon him.
Suffering from black magic and possession.
A likely cover for his lies made to hide his long-term impotence.
He's impotent, meaning that he's unable.
What there is no dispute about is that Muhammad's favorite wife was his tiny child bride, Aisha, whom he bedded at the ripe old age of 9. In another narration, Muhammad lusted after a literal baby crawling on the ground, saying she would be his wife when she grew up, presumably to age 6, like Aisha was when the blessed marriage took place. It seems adult women were just not doing it for Muhammad anymore, but prepubescent girls, who naturally look a lot like boys, helped with his impotence.
He's impotent.
Which brings us to the Al-Zutt incident. One Arabian night, Muhammad ventured into the desert with a companion to an area known to be frequented by a people called Al-Zutt. Muhammad drew a line in the sand and commanded his friend to stay behind it as he ventured off to confront the Zutt. According to the sources, Muhammad was jumped, and the Zutt proceeded to take turns riding him all night long.
Why did I try it?
In Arabic, the term ride carries the same dual meaning as English. It can be literal, but it can also be sexual. Now, the Islamic sources describe the Zutt people as being known for exceptional sexual strength.
The penis of the elected never softens. The erection is eternal.
When Muhammad crawled back over that ditty line, after that long night, he was in visible pain and said the Zutt had wounded him.
Oh, it's hurting. Ooh, it's probably...
We now know that a common belief at Muhammad's time was that a young boy could inherit sexual prowess by receiving an injection of semen from an adult, thus providing justification for pederastic rape. This begs the question, was Muhammad's night journey an attempt to cure his impotence? With a little help from the sexually endowed Zutt.
He bought Zutt oils.
It's hard to say for sure, but Muhammad would later brag about having the sexual strength of 30 men. An interesting brag from a potential gang rape victim.
Ooh la la!
Like Muhammad, the inventors of communism had some strange ideas about sexuality. It's well known that Karl Marx desired to usher in a communist utopia and viewed religion as a roadblock to his plans. What is less well known is that Friedrich Engels added marriage and the traditional family as an equal impediment. He desired a world in which a woman wouldn't know who the father of her child was, and the kid would thus be raised by the community, free of family units. For this reason, anyone who would deny the sexual advances of another was seen as a selfish hoarder of goods and an enemy of the communist state.
Who needs enemies when you have Muslims?
Sweden, while certainly not a communist state in name, is highly influenced by communist thought. Perhaps this explains their absurdly light sentence for rape. The case of Mia, a 16-year-old Swedish girl who was assaulted last September, is illustrative. While walking home from work, Mia was approached by a stranger in a pedestrian tunnel. He proceeded to take her phone and restrain her. He grabbed her butt, groped her breasts under her bra, and stuck his hand in her panties. At that point, she managed to get away, estimating he got half a finger inside her vagina.
The penis is a social construct.
She immediately reported what had happened to her. A couple of days later, Mia was shocked to see the same man at school and identified 18-year-old Yazid Muhammad as her attacker. Yazid, a citizen of Eritrea in Sweden under asylum laws, was eventually charged with the crime, and the prosecution sought deportation.
Get out of here. Get out of here. You're expelled from paradise.
The district court ruled that Mia's testimony was reliable and that both surveillance footage and phone geolocation data put both Mia and Yazid near the scene at the time of the crime. Yazid claimed he was in fact talking to a different girl at that time, but couldn't remember the conversation or what she looked like, other than a vague description of being rounder than Mia.
Very, very, very credible intellectually.
Mia correctly identified Yazid's jacket, but misremembered him as wearing black pants. The court thus ruled that it was possible there were multiple men near the scene of the attack, and Mia had misremembered which one assaulted her, and Yazid was found not guilty. Mia's lawyer appealed, and the acquittal was overturned. The appeals court found Yazid guilty and said the crime constituted a rape of the normal degree. Yazid's lawyers had argued that it was a less serious type that would have carried a minimum sentence of a whopping 6 months in jail. With guilt determined, Swedish law allows for a sentence between 3 and 6 years, an absolute joke for such a serious crime, and instructs the court to consider various factors in sentencing, including physical harm, the usage of threat or violence, the victim's reaction, whether there was an existing relationship between the parties, and the duration of the attack. Yes, you heard that right. The law truly says, if you are quick, you get off light.
Wow, that didn't last too long.
Due to the fact Mia escaped before Yazid could pull his penis out, combined with his young age, Yazid got the 3-year minimum and avoided deportation. In 2028, he'll be out and able to haunt the still teenage Mia. An absolute mockery of justice, but I don't blame the court. I blame the law that instructs the court, and I'm thankful that the pervert didn't get off free, at least, as the district court desired. Now what about Muhammad? How would he fare if he pressed charges against the Al-Zutt rape gang? Ignoring that he probably wouldn't, since he apparently sought out his encounter. On the one hand, violence was apparently used and Muhammad was left physically damaged. And certainly the Al-Zutt lawyer couldn't argue for a lenient sentence on the grounds of sexual shortcoming, as the encounter lasted throughout the night.
Unless you're going to tell me the people of Zutt are able to magically have their private parts disappear.
Even with 30 men taking turns on Muhammad, that is still a pretty long encounter for each man. On the other hand, there is Muhammad's apparent complicity in the gang rape, a significant mitigating factor. Perhaps those Al-Zutt men would get off with the minimum, or maybe Muhammad would forget what their clothes looked like and they'd get off scot-free like good communists would prefer.
Okay,
That's what we want, Aki.
Either way, it seems they'd be allowed to stay in Sweden, where rape is barely a crime. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and check out this video for more on the sexual frustration of Muhammad, the prophet who couldn't keep it up.
He's impotent.